Hi, how are you tonight? I'm Roberta Colasino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. And I am coming to you from the Finger Lakes region this week. I'm back from Florida, back to New York for the rest of the year, and then some. All right, so tonight I'm going to talk to you about some product. I'm going to show you how to use one of the stamp sets that is carrying over that I never used. I bought it and never used it, and now I'm sorry that I didn't, but I'm glad it's carrying over because it has a lot of versatility. I will put down the camera so that we can get going. Remember, there are no more host codes. I'll talk to you a little bit tonight about the new program. I think I mentioned it in my post in this group. So the name of my business is 11 Lakes Stamper, and the name of the group that you're watching this video in is 11 Lakes Stamper Creatives, and it is a public group so anyone can join. All right, hang on, and we'll put the camera down. All right, I spent quite a while adjusting this thing, but then the problem is the minute you have to start your live, you cannot, excuse me, you cannot start your live with the camera in this position. It's really strange. You have to start the live with the camera, I don't know how to put it, like just in the portrait mode, and holding it up as if you were looking at your phone. Whoa. And it won't let you do it any differently. So to me, hello. It's a shame. It would be great if I could just have like one spare phone or something that I just used for this, because I had it just perfect, and now, of course, I don't. And I've got it. It won't let me. Oh, I tell you, technology, it's a wonderful thing. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is different now. I've got this cranked as far as it'll go. It's got like a ball joint, and it won't let me go any further, but yet 2 minutes ago I was not seeing that light, and I was not seeing my iPad there. So let's try moving that over a little bit. And let's see if I can, whoopsie, okay, move the whole arm that way. It just shouldn't take this long to do this, but there just doesn't seem to be any other way to get it done. Okay, that will work. So I wanted to share with you about the glass mat. So I've been using it. I think I used it the whole time I was in Florida. I decided that was a good time to try it out. I've had it for a while, but I just hadn't used it. I saw that a lot of demonstrators who do videos like me were having problems with light. So you can see this one light over here on my left, but I don't think it's causing too much glare. It's not coming down from above. I got rid of the glare, like I said, like 5 minutes ago, and then I don't know exactly why everything changed, but it did. So I can put that up a little bit and see if that helps. So this is the glass mat, and the glass mat was something that in 2024 you could actually get free for joining Stampin' Up! It was your joining gift. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the pool. There's something like swimming in my pool. It's not uncovered yet. Okay, I'm hoping that's not something bad. Oh, okay, there's a bird on the edge of the pool and it's his reflection. He's not drowning. Okay, alrighty, I thought I was going to have to go out and rescue a bird. Jeez. So this is the glass mat, and the glass mat, in terms of the area that has the measurements on it, measures 13 by 13. But then it's got an extra, looks to me to be like 3 inches over here as well. So it's more like 14 by 13. All right, so it's very spacious. It allows you to line things up and keep things straight, which is really nice. It comes with a silicone palette that you can use for mixing colors on. I also discovered that these little squares hold the Stampin' Spots. Now these come with your kits, and they come with your paper pumpkin. And you can also buy blank ones, empty ones, and you can ink them yourselves. It holds that and keeps it from moving because it fits right in there. It'll keep your ink pad from moving when you put it down if you're using the blending brush. You can mix colors in there. It will stain after a while, but that's, it's not a big deal. It also comes with this chamois. Similar to the pink chamois that we have, but it's thinner. It feels more like a cloth or a rag, but it is the same basic material. And then if you keep, what I decided to do was to wet mine and put it in this jar so it would stay more wet. So if I needed it, I could use it during the course of the video. And you could also use your spray bottles or your little misters to dampen it again if you need to dampen it. So this sells for $60, which I know is a chunk of change, but if you do any kind of crafting and artwork, not just stamping, but other things like with paints and whatnot, this would be wonderful. It wipes off really well, and whatever doesn't wipe off will scrape off. It's made out of shatterproof tempered glass. It's 5 millimeters thick. It has non-stick feet on the bottom, so it's not going anywhere. And I've just found that it comes in really handy. And it also gives me a nice flat surface. And for some reason, I'm not saying it's 100% of the time, but for some reason, I am finding that my computer logged me off. Okay, I don't think that really matters, but I'm finding that when I stamp with the photopolymer stamps, they're working, even though they generally work better with a pad of some kind underneath. Hang on, I'm trying to type my password when I can't actually see what I'm doing. Let's see if that's right. Nope, it's not. I need 2 hands, and I can't do that because then I'm going to move the camera. Good grief. I was talking to someone just the other day, there we go. When I bought this computer, I just thought, well, you know, why not have a pretty computer? So it's rose gold, and the keys are rose gold, and the letters are white, but they're very fine, and unless you're looking right at the right angle, you can't see the letters. And if I'm sitting with it in front of me, then I can type, you know, like I learned to type when I took typing lessons way back when. Well, I'm hoping I'm here. Oh, hello, Audrey. How are you tonight? Of course, I had to, you know, pack everything up in my car, and then I had to unload my car, which I did over the course of 2 days because the weather was fairly nice here, so I didn't have to worry about leaving things in the car. And I've been carrying things up the stairs, and I've been hampered by cats who feel that they need to assist me by getting under my feet while I'm walking up the steps. So, that's the Glass Mat Studio, just so you know. And I was going to talk to you a little bit about tonight, and I know I have already to some degree, about, okay, there I am, good, I'm here, about things that are carrying over, excuse me, and things that are not carrying over. Okay, there we go. Yeah, see, I am seeing some shadow and some glare, and it's so hard to tell because sometimes it's just the computer that's doing it, and sometimes it's not. So I hope that doesn't look as dark for you as it does for me. Oh, I miss you too, Audrey. So Audrey is a friend from Florida, and we spend a lot of time talking when I'm down there. So we're missing our conversations. And sometimes we spend some time just kind of, you know, I'll use the word complaining because I'm not allowed to use other words. Just complaining about things and or people. All right, we'll leave it at that. So tonight, let's see. There are not a lot of embossing folders carrying over, and someone asked me about that just the other day, and I was even wrong about one of them that I thought was carrying over, and it's not. I thought that the exposed brick was carrying over, but it did not. It carried over from the 2023 to the 2024 catalog, and it's not carrying over again, and this was like a real favorite for me. The eyelet embossing folder is carrying over, and that's a really pretty one. In fact, we'll be using that tonight. The Timber 3D embossing folder is on the last chance list. So this is the one that makes any piece of paper look like wood. And oh gosh, from my point of view here, there we go. Okay. So that's what it looks like. It's nice and textured, and it actually looks like wood. So that's really very cool. That is on the last chance list, and I think it's like $7 or $8. This one is new or newer, and it looks like corrugated. It looks like fine corrugated, not the real heavy stuff, and I'm liking that a lot. I like a lot of texture. And I've used that in some journals that I made while I was in Florida. All right, what I wanted to show you today, though, is the Choose Happy set. When this first came out, I'll be the first to tell you, I didn't buy it. I looked at it and I was like, I don't know, it's cutesy, it's cartoony. I didn't even really pay close attention to it. I just sort of wrote it off. And then in July, when I had to place another order, and I was thinking about what I might like, I really took a look at it and I said, well, wait a minute. This has autumn, winter, it has Thanksgiving, anniversary, boo, for Halloween. It's got the seasons, it's got healing, summer, Easter, spring, heart, choose happy. The only thing it doesn't specifically have is birthday, but then it has happy, and you can use the picture or the word bumble, like bee from a bumblebee, and you could say happy bee day, which everybody would know meant happy birthday anyway. So I started to think, maybe this thing has some merit. So I opened it up the other day thinking I would use it today and realized that it was still in the packaging. So clearly I had not used it, not even once. So I got it out, and that is what we'll be using tonight because it is carrying over. And there's really just a lot that you can do with it. I was pretty impressed. And I only made 3 cards, and certainly you can make a lot more than that. So this is the Summer Splash. I get the Summer Splash and the Shy Shamrock mixed up all the time. Okay, and these are not the same size. Let me see. This one must be for the liner, so that's for the inside. And then I have got Lemon Lolly, which really should be Daffodil Delight, but I don't have Daffodil Delight. And I've got Peach Pie, and I've got Berry Burst. And I've got those same colors in paper. So little strips of DSP that are 1 inch by, I believe it is, I wrote it on the back of one of them, 1 inch by 4 3/4. So I've got the Peach Pie, I've got the Daffodil Delight, and I've got the Berry Burst. And I took the heart stamp, the bird stamp, and the sunshine stamp and stamped it in the same colors. So for ink pads, I have Peach Pie and Daffodil Delight and Berry Burst. So since you can see this laid out in front of you, this is what I just want to kind of scream to you about. What makes Stampin' Up! So much different from other companies is that you're not just going to, a big box store and saying, okay, I have this color at home and now I need some ink to go with it, and you buy something that you think matches and then you get it home and it doesn't. That happens to me when I'm buying clothes all the time. Everything matches. The cardstock matches, the ink matches, the markers match. There's ribbon that matches. There is twine sometimes that matches. What else matches? The Stampin' Right markers match. So everything's totally color coordinated. So, yeah, I've been talking to the cats a lot too, Audrey, which is much better than talking to myself. So at least when you have a cat, you have an excuse for talking to something. All right, so what I did was I took the matching ink pad and I just stamped, and I figured I would do that off camera so we didn't take too long with that. And we're going to make one of those cards where we're going to glue these on here in rows. And I think because the Peach Pie and the Daffodil Delight are kind of similar, I'm trying to get used to where I have to be so that I'm not off camera. So we're going to put those like that, okay? And then we're going to do a little bit of coloring. I tried to do some coloring in advance just so I'm not spending too much of my time coloring here when I could be doing other things. And I always say, if there's anybody that needs a tutorial on how to use the blend markers, please let me know, because they're alcohol markers, so there is something, there's a little bit of a difference between them and just your typical magic marker, so to speak. All right, so let's go ahead and get this on. I think I'm going to do a little dry fit. And then I'm also just not going to worry if it's not perfect. I've given up on that a long time ago. There's nothing perfect in the art world. Well, go to the Sistine Chapel and tell me there's nothing perfect in the art world, because that would be pretty perfect in my book. But I'm guessing that even Michelangelo took a look at it at one point and wasn't happy with something about it. So don't let it bother you if something's just a tiny bit off or a little bit slanted or whatever. Chances are nobody will notice. Okay. Don't want to put the birds on upside down. Speaking of birds, I hear planes out there, and I hear birds out there. So some of you already knew this, but I think most of you know that I'm into cats and occasionally rescue cats, and cats occasionally find me. And sure enough, I get out of my car in my hotel at Savannah, Georgia, after my first day of traveling home, and there are 5 stray cats, at least 5 that I could count. And they were telling me, hey, over here, we need you, we need you. I don't know if somebody sent them a telegram and told them I was coming or what. I had made myself a nice dinner that I was going to heat up in the microwave in my hotel room. And it was a chicken breast that had lots of tomatoes and beans and things like that. So I went up to my hotel room and I washed the chicken off so it didn't taste like garlic or onion or beans. And I ate the beans, basically, and the tomatoes for dinner, and the cats ate my chicken. So, and then one of them looked like he'd been a little beaten up. He didn't seem to be accepted by the other cats, so I spent a part of my evening on the phone trying to find, or on the computer rather, trying to find a rescue that would help them and see if he needed medical care. And I did connect with someone, so there we go. There's that. Pretty darn easy, okay, all things considered. And if you wanted to make multiples of these, let's say you were participating in a swap, or you were I have a friend who, when she makes her Halloween cards and her Christmas cards, everybody gets the same card. She just makes them all, kind of assembly line style. So if that was what you wanted to do, you would take a strip of this paper that was maybe, 4 3/4, and you would take a longer piece of it, and you would just do all the stamping and then cut it into 1-inch strips. You wouldn't sit there and stamp each individual one. I hope that makes sense. So then I have this piece here, and I didn't do all the coloring on that just because I thought, I should do something in front of you in the way of coloring. So we're going to color in the sun. I'm not going to color out the outside, although I had an idea for the outside. But let's let this dry completely first, and then I'll show you. And because I might forget, I'm going to put the Wink of Stella right in front of me, because that's what I want to use. All right, and if I want the color to be a deeper yellow, then I just go over it a few more times. I'm already using the dark. And it does lighten up. All right, so we've got that, and then the bird. All right, well, let's do the heart. I got to do something with the bird because I wanted to use all the same colors, and there are birds that are kind of orangish, aren't there? I think there are. And if not, in my world, there will be orange birds. Now, this was an oops. I got some ink in the inside of my stamp, and I was going to start over again. I said, it can just sort of look like a shadow. So that was what I decided to do there. I just said it could just look like a shadow. That was basically because I was lazy and did not want to stamp it again, because I'd already stamped it on 2 different shaped pieces that didn't really work. All right, so now, let's see. Let's take the light peach pie. These are just those little hair rubber bands that you can buy at the Dollar Tree, and they have so many colors that I can almost match the colors of the rubber bands to the markers, and it helps me keep them together. So I'm going to color the whole thing in light peach pie. Again, somewhere in the world, I'm sure there is a bird this color. And I didn't want to have to cut these out, but I did end up having to cut the sun out because that ended up having to hang over the edge. And I think that adds dimension and is a nice look anyway, so that didn't bother me. Somebody's flying around in a small plane. I don't know if they're taking lessons or just practicing or what they're doing. We have a very small airfield, maybe 20 miles north of here. And there used to be a small airfield right here in Newark. One of the local doctors used to fly out of it. I'm assuming he had his own plane, but going back many years. All right, and I'm going to make his beak the darker orange. All right, and then I'm just going to add some shadow in a few places. I did not do that with everything that I colored for this because it just did seem necessary. When you're doing something that's kind of cartoony and not necessarily realistic, I feel like it's not necessary to make it look super realistic because it's cartoony. That's just me. And then we take the light one again and you just blend outwards so that the lines that you made aren't so obvious. And you can do this or not do this. It's entirely up to you. Okay? So there you go. And then I stamped Choose Hope. We had a poster hanging in my classroom that somebody gave me. My students were not always happy. And when they weren't happy, nobody was happy. This is mainly referring to my last few years of teaching, where I had boys in my class, almost always boys, who were between the ages of 15 and 21. So they just weren't always happy about the fact that they were still in school. All right, so I'm going to take the wink of Stella, and I'm going to color the sun. And again, it's not a color, it just adds a glimmer. And I know that it's very hard for you guys to see this. I can see it and I can hold it up. I think this one's getting a little dried out too, so there's not a lot coming out of it. It's got a spot here that says squeeze. And when you squeeze, a little glob of the wink is supposed to come out, but it might be on its last legs. I have 3 more here. You can also add a tiny touch of alcohol to these and then shake them up really good, and if there's any of the shiny stuff left in them, it will it'll kind of revive it temporarily. Okay, this one's a little juicier. I'm going to go kind of heavy on it just in the hopes that if I hold it up you can see it. But basically, it just gives it a glimmer without any glitter that actually comes off, which is nice. Another thing most of you know about me is that I'm not a fan of glitter. It just gets everywhere. So let's see if we can see that. I feel like the lighting is just not quite good enough. No, not really. Oh, come back. This way, this way, this way. Yeah, well, if the sun was still shining, I bet you could see it. So then, like I said, I stamped Choose Hope, and I thought I'd have that coming out from behind it. And then I also took a ribbon, and I think this ribbon is retired. The one that carried over was the one that has the vanilla in it, and this was the white, and I think I grabbed the wrong one, but you get the idea, and I'm sure most of you don't care if it's retired or not. If you have it, use it for sure. Don't stop using something just because it's retired. I kind of, I don't want to say have to, but I choose to stop using retired things a lot of the time only because then if you ask me where you can buy it, the answer may be you can't, and then that kind of upsets people sometimes. All right, and I also have this little piece of ribbon that I'm just going to put behind here. I always call this like cancer ribbon style, just because that's what the breast cancer ribbon looks like. And I guess now they have ribbons for all different colors and all different causes. Different colors for different causes, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and then I think maybe I should be using some dimensionals and some glue, and I can use the dimensionals to hold the ribbon on too. That's always a good plan. I had some little scraps. I just opened up some new ones today, but the scraps come in really handy for things like this. So that's why I never throw away the ends. just see. I think actually I'm going to need dimensionals here too. Never mind the glue. We'll just let that dry and do its own thing. So on Saturday I got home around 8 o'clock. Did a little bit of cooking for some things everybody was bringing a dish to pass for Easter Sunday at my cousin's house. And then I drove there, which is about an hour, just about an hour away, maybe not quite. I think I'm going to put this lower down, only because I want to see a lot of that. And then on the way home, I saw so many deer on the side of the road, so many. Alive, not dead. They were alive. But they were just like in the fields, you know, having their dinner. All right, and then we'll put this on the Summer Splash. So this is kind of quite a mishmash of colors, but they all seem to work. I did not consult the color coach. I just went ahead and did it. I pulled out a couple that I didn't like the way they looked, and this one, this match, this combination I did like. And I made the white base a little bit smaller so that we could see a little bit more of the Summer Splash. Sometimes you cover it all up, and I wonder why we bother using such pretty colors if we cover them up, so I don't always want to do that. Okay, I think I'm going to need to put another one in there in the middle, but that can wait. And then this here, just to be kind of quick about it, oh, there it is. Just want to put a little something on the inside. So I think I'll just stamp a sun on the inside. See how nicely that stamps? Now this is hard as a rock, so I don't understand it, but it seems to work. Whereas if I'm doing it on my table, it doesn't. But my table has some natural bumps in it, and that might be part of the problem. So this has no bumps. All right, and then I'll color that in later. You don't have to watch me doing that. Okay, there we go. I think that's really cute. You know, so no, it's not pretty or it's not beautiful. It's pretty and it's cute, but I like it. And if I got that card in the mail, that would make me happy. So that's why I like it, because I would like to be happy. All right, next card. I think I'm going to need some of those stamps again. All right, so this time I've got a Daffodil Delight card base, and I've got the pumpkin pie markers, and I believe this is the Retired So Saffron. But you know what? They're still working. I've had these things for years, and they're still working. So I'm not going to stop using them just because they're retired. So there. And then this is the light and dark grainy apple green. So what I did here was I did start to do some coloring, just again so that you wouldn't have to watch like forever. So you can kind of see what I did there. You can get the gist. I used the darker So Saffron. And for this, I did not do anything special. I did not do any blending or any darkening or shading or anything like that. I just colored. Just plain out Crayola crayon coloring. All right. Just remember when you're using the blends that you do not need to press hard. And if you want a darker shade, then just go over it again. Don't press harder. That's what we did with crayons. We don't do this with markers. Do not press harder because they will break. And they cost, I think the price went up. I think they're $11 now for a pair of two. So they're more expensive even than an ink pad. I think, oh yeah, they are more expensive than an ink pad. So I try to be careful with them. I do like the brush end, but I find that people ruin the brush ends a lot when they use them. They just don't understand that you don't have to press. If they've ever been done painting before, then they kind of understand to treat the brush end of the marker as if it were a paintbrush. And you wouldn't press hard with a paintbrush, especially not a pointy one. So this is a bullet tip. Okay. There we go. And the other end is a brush, just like a paintbrush, and it's very, very fine tipped. And you can even see this one's not bad, but some of them, they get split down the middle. They break because people are using them kind of roughly because that's just what they think they need to do. So you're going to barely touch the surface and you're just going to stroke. And I am noticing that this end is dry a little bit. So I'll probably go back to the bullet tip so that they all look the same. But I'm barely touching, which is probably another reason why it's kind of light. I'm just barely touching. I'm just stroking it like a paintbrush. You can't hear it like you can hear the marker. When I use the marker, I think you can hear it. When I use the brush tip, you can't hear it. And I save the brush tip for really tiny places that I need to get into. If I don't need to get into a tiny place, then I don't use it. So we've talked about this before in my classes. I have some people who like to color and some people who really don't like to color. Sometimes I offer to do some coloring for them, and they usually have enough choices of cards that they can just not do the one that requires the coloring. I find coloring to be very relaxing. My daughter does too. We both have quite a collection of, coloring books for grown-ups. I hate to say adult coloring books because then it sounds like something else. So, coloring books for grown-ups, we'll call it that. And I find it very relaxing. It's just because you don't have to give it too much thought if you're not doing all the shading and blending and stuff. You're just coloring. It lets you kind of blank out. Listen to some music and color. It's truly relaxing. For me. I know it might not be for everybody. Okay, so you can see why I didn't want to color all of these, right? Because that would be just a little bit too much. Okay, so we're done with that. And I did the middles before. And these, I'm going to use the dark Granny Apple Green, and I'm not going to do any blending. I have a neighbor kind of across the street and down the block, but has a dog that barks a lot, a big dog. I was hoping that maybe he would keep it down tonight, and so far he is. I probably shouldn't have said anything. It really doesn't bother me, but when the window's open, you can really hear it. And the window is open. Oh, so the other thing, it's been posted on my group, but I now have a YouTube channel. Again, I think I told you, but for those who don't know, Facebook has decided to start deleting all of your Facebook Lives. So this video that I'm doing tonight will come down in 30 days. And when they first announced that they were doing it, they said that all the videos that you had from that date going forward would all be deleted within like a couple of weeks, whatever the date was. Then they said for a different time period, they were all going to be deleted on May 31st. And then when I said, well, what about, because I've been doing videos since 2019. I mean, geez, it's a lot of videos. So I've been spending like 2 hours every morning and an hour every night deleting videos. And it's kind of crazy. So, okay, that's not what I want. All right, so I picked, anyway, so I'm trying to get it done, but some of the videos are already gone. I've already lost them. And it's a shame because I'd almost rather lose the older ones that are showing products that you can't buy anymore than the ones that are showing products that you can still buy, but apparently they don't care. I'm just going to leave it at that. All right, so I tried on a scrap piece of paper, so I wanted to use the sentiment Happy Spring. And I tried doing it a couple of different ways, and I just didn't like the way it came out. So what I ended up doing with Choose Hope was when I lined them up top and bottom on the same block, I didn't like the way it came out. Here, I did it just by hand. I did Choose, and then I did Hope separately. By hand wasn't really what I wanted to say, but I think you know what I mean. So I'm going to just stamp Happy. Now, if you had the rubber stamps, you wouldn't be able to do this so well. You know, Happy looks really similar upside down or right side up. So you really have to pay attention. All right, so I'm using my Memento black ink pad, but the one that I transferred over onto a blank ink pad because I prefer the spongy pad to the linen pad. All right, so, and if I goof this up, I will just use a small piece of paper and I will just go over it. So I'm going to try to put that kind of smack in the middle. Ooh, perfect. Okay, and then I'm just going to take that one off. What's nice about this mat, too, is that your stamps stick to it, so they're not going to get lost on you. Because there's nothing more frustrating than crawling around your craft room on your hands and knees after a crafting session looking for your stamps and your dies. Oh my gosh. It's frightening. All right, so another thing that you could do, that I should do, is to put this down on the mat, line it up with the lines, and then put it down, and with any luck, you have a better chance of getting a good image and getting it straight. So I have a choice of maybe going this way or going this way. I don't want to cover up the piece, the bottom of the piece, so I think I'm going to go this way. And I can sort of see what I'm doing because I can look through the stamp. And it's the tiniest bit crooked, but you know what? I don't care. And it might be fun for people who just say, oh my gosh, I can't do this, I can't stamp straight. Then don't. Go Happy Spring. And just make it wonky. And just say you did it on purpose. And do it on purpose. Because if you make it very crooked, then it's obvious that you did it on purpose. If it's just a little bit crooked, then they figure you just screwed up. Okay, so I like that. That's cute. And it is a little bit crooked, and that's fine. So, and the markers do bleed through, which is why I usually put a piece of paper or something under them. I don't know if the alcohol markers will stain this or not. They say you can use them on non-porous surfaces. So I probably should test it on a little corner someplace and see if it really does stay, or if it stays, if you didn't wipe it off right away. I don't know. But I don't want this mat to get full of gunk, you know what I'm saying? I want it to be nice looking. All right, so I made this kind of a thin border just so that there was some contrast there. Black is, really an amazing color to use in card making, and people think black, it's like a funeral card or something, but it's not. It just helps the white background to pop off of whatever color you're putting it on. You see that? Now if I just put the white on there like this, it's okay, but this, the black, just makes it pop. But I don't want to see a big border of the black. I just want to see a little bit. I forgot to ask today at the post office, but rumor has it that the cost of postage is going up again. And I wanted to say to them, I encourage people to send cards. I send cards to people, I send letters to people, and they tell me how much they appreciate opening their mailbox and finding something that's not a bill or junk. But when it gets to the point where it's going to be $1 to send a letter or a card, then, people are not going to do it. And what is it now? It's 78 cents? Hey, Google, what's the cost of first-class postage in the U.S.?
On the website USPS.com, they say, standard-sized rectangular envelope stamps start at 73 cents. Square, oversized, or unusually shaped envelope stamps start at $1.19.
Oh, so you hear that? So 73 cents if it's just like this and it's fine and it's not too thick. If you send square envelopes, they cost more. I don't know why. And anything that's unusual, I did mail somebody a card once. It was a store-bought card, I remember years ago, that I found in a store that was round. And I thought, how cool is that? And the envelope was square, but the card was round. And they just looked at me like I was crazy in the post office. And I forget, it was years ago, but even so, I paid a lot more for it than for a regular card. So it's always nice to just do a little something to decorate the inside of your card as well. And if I had an envelope here, but I haven't uncovered those yet, I could stamp those same flowers on the flap of the envelope so that everything matched. And how nice is that? So that's card number 2. And card number 3, I think is going to use some of these other stamps too. So what I've taken out in addition is the, I was going to call it a rowboat, the sailboat and the bee, like the bumblebee. And I embossed this piece of paper with the eyelet embossing folder just so that you could see how pretty it was. And then my intention was to go over it with a blending brush in a color that would be similar or the same as one of the colors in here. So I've got a Misty Moonlight card base, and my card opens this way. And then I've got this paper, which I've already forgotten what it's called. This paper, which is not carrying over, I don't think, is called Full of Life 6x6 paper. And it's part of the Full of Life suite and the Friends for Life bundle. And it's just really fun. And I haven't used it enough. It's a story of my life. So I'm using it now, and I'll be using it in my journals and other things, because I tend to make my journals kind of shabby chic, and I use a lot of browns and darker colors. And which side do you like better? I like them both. But this one might go better with that. Okay, let's wipe that off, and I'm gonna change my mind. That wasn't what I was originally gonna do. That's what I love about two-sided paper, because a lot of your scrapbook paper that you get at the big box stores is not two-sided. So anyway, I was going to use a blending brush to color it, and I can't find my blending brushes, which is especially annoying because I've seen them twice already today. In a box or a bag somewhere. I've seen them. But when I went looking for them, nope, they were nowhere to be found. So we're not going to do that. There are some alternatives. You can take a stamp pad or a Stampin' Spot, and you can color this, but sometimes it's kind of dark and it's kind of messy, and I really wanted it to be light. I also could have, and probably should have, embossed a piece of colored paper so that, like what I just told you, so that these pieces here would stand out a little bit more. So these pieces are 1.5 by 1.5. And so what we're going to do, I'll just get this out of the way, is we're going to arrange these with the bee flying, and let's see. I guess we should put the bee up in the air and the sun up in the air, and the boat and the flower kind of on the ground, or in the boat's case, in the water, right? Okay, I'm going to take a bone folder. This is not my Stampin' Up! Bone folder, but I really like this bone folder for things like this, and I mainly use it for my journals when I've got multiple pages that I have to kind of flatten out. But it's really good for that little ridge that you get when you cut paper in a paper cutter that has a valley or a groove or whatever you want to call it. And I don't like the way they look. It gives it kind of an unfinished look. So you can just take a bone folder and just go over it. You really could use your finger too, but okay, so back to this. And yes, I'm going to color these. Oh, and how, oh, okay. I was going to say, how did I forget the yellow, but I didn't forget it. The yellow was just elsewhere. So we're going to, before we put it together, I think, we're going to color the bumblebee. We'll make his stripes yellow. His wings aren't yellow, right? So I don't need to make them yellow, but I could touch them up with a little Wink of Stella if I can remember which one works. I put a red line on this, and I put it on for a reason, so maybe the reason I put it on was to tell myself that it was getting empty, or maybe to tell myself that it was newer. You have to be careful, because when you squeeze it, if it's new, it's going to blob right out, and you're not going to be happy. And actually, I could squeeze it right onto here. Yep, I think the red mark meant it was almost dead. So I'm going to open these up tonight and fill them with some alcohol and see if that helps. Not fill them, just add a little alcohol and give it a good shake. It's just like, you know, when you take your dish detergent and run it under, add a little extra water to it just to give it a tiny bit more life. Okay, I can see it. I know you can't, but it's cute. All right, and then, so he's done. Now the flower. I thought I'd do some red, and again I have the Sweet Sorbet, which was an in color last year and retired, but it's still working really well, so I'm going to use it. I mean, look how bright that is. So I hear people talk all the time about their markers running out, and mine do not. I will tell you though, I keep them in, not in an airtight container, but in one of those Walmart shoe boxes. It's not airtight, but it's not totally open to the elements either. Or in the plastic drawers, the bins that are drawers. So again, they're out of the air. And for a while I was keeping them on my desk, and I realized that the window was right there, and when I pulled them out, they'd be warm to the touch. And I thought, oh, that can't be good. So now I'm keeping them kind of in a cooler, darker place and in the box. And they are lasting a very long time. I probably should have scribbled a date on them when I bought them, just for my own knowledge, but I know I have colors that have been retired for 3 or 4 years. So I've had them a long time. All right, let's see, how about just putting a yellow dot in the middle for something different? You hear that snap as I close them? You want to hear that snap. That lets you know that the cap is on really well too. If it doesn't snap, then there could be air getting into them, and that might also lead to them drying out. Okay, I need the yellow again. Kind of forgot about that. I think I've told this story too. So you know how I was just going like that, kind of scribbling? I had an art teacher in high school, and this was when markers first became big, and they were called magic markers. She said that the company said never to scribble back and forth with them, to only go in one direction. And that if you go in one direction, they will last a lot longer, and I think that may be true. I know that they were a different kind of marker. They were not alcohol markers, but I think it might be true, because that's another reason why I think mine are lasting so long, is that I tend to just go in one direction. Now, Wink of Stella, if you're using regular ink, will move your color, because it's adding liquid to an ink that is not waterproof. So you really want to make sure to let your ink dry. With the alcohol ink, it doesn't matter, but the black ink is water-based ink, but I think it had plenty of time to dry because I did these hours ago. All right, I also wanted to make that flag red on top of there. And that flag is really skinny, so I'm bringing out the brush tip, hoping that I don't go out of the lines, and I just used the tiniest tip of it. Okay, and then I think I was going to make the base of the boat, the body of the boat, Misty Moonlight, so it matches the card base. So let's see, I'll do the light Misty Moonlight first, so I can just see how light it is, because I haven't used it in a while and I don't remember. And I think I got the Misty Moonlight markers when Misty Moonlight was an in color, and that had to have been 3 years ago or so. So I will add just a little bit of shadowing to the boat. And then you take the light marker and you just blend that out. And just leave one area light. And then I'll grab the Granny Apple Green. I know I'm jumping around. I just realized if I didn't do the leaves, I was going to forget them, though. Do the Granny Apple Green for the leaves. So, getting back to this stamp set while I'm coloring, take a look at what it offers here. And I had mental pictures of, like, for just a fun Christmas card, doing the penguin and maybe the star and making your own DIY DSP. You know what I mean by that. You've seen me do that before. And then having that be the DSP on the cover or on the front of your card. And then you could have a cute little penguin on the envelope and a cute little penguin on the inside of the card. All right, obviously the bunny could be for Easter, but the bunny could be for Happy Spring too. And then there's a pumpkin, and there are two faces. One is kind of your typical jack-o'-lantern face, and then there's the smiley face, but you could also put the smiley face on the sun, okay? And obviously you could do a Valentine, but there is no Valentine, but that doesn't mean you couldn't use your own Happy Valentine sentiment. You could use the heart for Happy Anniversary, and maybe a bird, or maybe two birds. Okay, two birds flying together like lovebirds. Get it? You could stamp Boo on the pumpkin. And I love the whole, you know, choose. Choose dreams, choose hope, choose healing, choose heart, choose life, choose joy, oh joy. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff you can do with this, a lot. I'm extremely impressed with all the stuff you can do with this. Okay, so this is dark balmy blue. I can see that shining now in the light, but I bet you can't, can you? Oh, that's so annoying. I don't know. And then some of these people spend a lot of money on studio lights, and it works for them. And then other people say they spent a fortune on the lights, and it's still not working for them. Maybe because of the room that they're in. I don't know. I spent a lot of money on my tripod, more than I intended to spend. I had a tripod that I've had for years for when I did a lot of photography, but what I didn't realize was that it didn't have a thing to hold the camera. A regular camera, yes, that screwed into the mount, but it didn't have to hold a phone. And it didn't move the way this one does. It was meant to just be standing up and looking straight ahead. Oh, I did not want to do that. Did not want to do that. Warning, warning. Okay, where's my shoebox? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Just one of these shoe boxes from Walmart. And in here I have my color lifter somewhere. It's probably on the bottom naturally. No, no, no. There it is. So it looks like a white marker, but it's not white. In fact, it has no color at all. And I don't know exactly how it works. It's magic. But if you go out of the lines and you go over it a little bit, it erases it. And if you color in a spot that you didn't want to color and you go over it a couple of times, it will keep getting lighter each time. So I'm hoping that's going to turn white eventually. All right, so then, because I wanted to skip every other stripe. Okay, so we have Summer Splash, we have Balmy Blue, we have Red, and we have Misty Moonlight. And then I'm just going to go over that again a couple of times. It does get lighter every time you do it, and eventually it turns white. You just have to take it slow and be careful, though, because if you rub it too much, then you pill the paper. Okay, so now, oh, I'm so glad I used this side of the paper. I really like the clock that I forgot to turn off. All right. let's get out a brand new sheet of dimensionals. I always love when I finish a sheet and get to start a new one. And let's get these all dimensioned up. Okay, now we're just making up words. And I don't like being cheap with the dimensions sometimes because things will collapse, especially in the mail, if you don't get enough dimensions on them, because they do go through a roller. Now, if you don't want your mail to go through a roller, you can pay, at least now, it's 11 cents extra for what they call a non-machinable stamp. I don't know who thinks of all these ways to make money, but, and I have some of those. They're not especially pretty. And every time I go to the post office and ask for some pretty or different stamps, they're all out of the pretty ones, so somebody else must get there before me. There are some really nice Marilyn Monroe stamps. I like nature stamps. And then they had puppies and kittens. Who doesn't love puppies and kittens, right? Okay, where's my take a pick tool? So the take your pick tool is just a wonderful thing. It lets you get those off without peeling them off with your fingernails, and you can take off all 4 at once. I've gotten, I think, as many as 6 or 8 on here. You just have to kind of go down and push. Down and push, and they all come up. Down and push. Yep, and then I have to check with my finger to see if they're sticky or not. Sometimes it just doesn't cooperate. Another thing you can do, and another demonstrator used to do this, and I kept saying I was going to, but then I didn't. I'll show you in just a second. Is you can take a pen or a marker or something, and you can go like this with your dimensionals and just make a line through them. I don't know if this I think this is a gel pen, so this might not be a good idea. And that way, when you start picking them off, if you can't, that one's already done. If you stand, so no, not this one isn't. So when you start picking them off, you can tell if you got them all or not because the black will be gone. That's just a thought. It might seem like too much work, but if you do it on the whole sheet before you even start, then it's not a lot of work. Okay, so now this one I could tell I missed. Oops. I know, some days the finger works better, some days this works better. It's personal preference, but like I said, it seems to vary from day to day. Sometimes I don't know if it's going to work or not, so. And because you're watching me, it's less likely to work. That's just how it goes. Okay. So now I do kind of want to get them evenly spaced. Where's the sun? And I'm going high up, and I'll tell you why in a second. So I'm not trying to get them evenly spaced like in the center of the card. Okay, and then I set the flower. I'll go more here. And the boat would go more here. I don't think I picked a sentiment for this one yet. I don't think I really gave it any thought. I don't know why, but I didn't. Okay, so let's see. What are our choices? Let's get this on there while I think about it. When you're putting glue on something that's been embossed, you want to go a little bit heavier with the glue because some of it will sink into the debossed side and it won't actually touch the surface. And I always make sure to get plenty in the corners and near the edges, but not so much that it will ooze out because that's messy. Make sure I got this going the right way, okay. Again, I purposely made this one smaller so we could see a little bit more of that pretty paper. And what's the point in having pretty paper if you can't see it? Okay, so if I want to send this to somebody though, What did I just use? I just used Happy Spring, didn't I? Well, you know what? Let's just do Happy Summer. And I have to look at these backwards and like upside down and figure out which one says summer. Got it. All right, so we'll put that there. And we'll get rid of spring. And okay, happy. Oh, and then I need something to stamp on, don't I? So I pulled out my cut and stamp and emboss, or what is it? Cut and emboss machine. And I cut out a bunch of the, I can never remember the names of these things. Hang on. I cut out a bunch of the something or other. Okay, Spotlight on Nature. This is going away, which is a shame. It's a beautiful set. I don't even know if it's on Last Chance. I'm not sure. I don't think I saw it today. And then this has 2 sets of dies. There's another one on the back that are the same size but different patterns. So I cut out a bunch of those, the smaller ones today, because I had some different things in mind. And as you can see, I ended up not using them. But that's okay because they will not go to waste. And then I also went and grabbed the, so the Wildly Flowering Sweet, which I don't think is carrying over either, has these 3 dies. So this one, this one, this one, and this one are meant to cut out the images here. But these 3 dies are like almost worth the price of admission. And when they get reduced, if they get reduced to like 30 or 40%, me personally, I would say that they're worth it just to get these 3 dies because they're great. And let me show you what's so great about them. So when you cut out, when you cut out this one here, the big one, and this one here that's scalloped, you actually get like 2 for 1. So this is the scalloped one, and when I put a piece of paper down on that and cut it out, I get both of these because it cuts here and here, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've got a bunch of those. And when I cut out this big one here, and it really is big, I get, is that right? No, that's not right. I get both of these. So you could use this as a frame without this. You could put them together. You could make one of them a color and one of them not a color. See what I'm saying? You get a lot of bang for your buck. So then I've got another one of these, and I don't know why I don't know why I have that. Oh, yes, I do. Because this doesn't belong with that one. Now I get it. So this is its own die because they're they have the little embossing, the little dots. I'm not sure what to call it. And this one doesn't have the dots. So those go together. That makes more sense size-wise. Okay? So you've got those, and then you've got these. And that's from the Wildflower Designs, and the dies are called Wildflower Designs dies. And the third thing that I pulled out was the Nested Essentials dies. And these are wonderful too. They've got the kind of oblong, I don't know what you call that. It is a hexagon. So like a stretched out hexagon, and then it's got the little banners, and then it's got the squares. Usually I have them much neater than this, but I was kind of in a hurry. So I cut out a couple of those in a smaller size, and then one of them's even really tiny. And then the last thing I pulled out was the Textured Notes dies, and these are new. So I really hope they're carrying over. And I took that one. And I think it was this card that I was thinking about this for. It's hard for me to remember a day ago or an hour ago what I was thinking. So that's almost too wide. I could have sworn I cut out a narrow one too, though. I wonder if it just got lost in my pile. I could have sworn I cut out the narrow one. All right, so then that kind of leaves me with something like this, which is pretty cool. As long as the sentiment will fit on it, I think it's okay. So we're going to do the same thing we did, and we said we'd say happy summer. So here's my happy. I'll stick that there so I don't lose it. And put this over here so I don't accidentally stamp on it. And bring in my black ink, which I've already lost. Where'd it go? Here we go. It's always under something. Okay. And we'll stamp happy. Okay, pretty good. It's going downhill a little bit. But you really can't flip these dies over, because if you do, then you get the other side, which isn't quite as pretty. So I'd rather have a little crooked and pretty. Okay, so happy summer. And this one I think I am going to have to space differently because it's not going to fit up there under the HA. Okay, happy summer. There we go. You know what else would be kind of neat? Would be to use two different colors, any colors that are in that card, and stamp happy in one color and summer in the other color. That would be really pretty. Didn't think about it till just now, but it would be pretty. So keep that in mind. You don't have to keep using black. And then we'll put that on there. And really, you know, I understand you might be saying, well, a happy summer card is really not necessary. So basically a happy summer card is a card that I would send to someone I just wanted to say hello to. And on the inside of the card, it's going to say things like, how are you doing? How are things going where you are? When are we going to get together next? You know, that kind of thing. So it's just an excuse to send a card. That's what happy summer is. Unless you know somebody who lives in Alaska, in which case they probably really are celebrating summer. Okay, so I'll try to kind of get that in the center between the two columns there. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And then, so this is one of those magnetic dishes, by the way, that you can get at, I think you can get them on Amazon, but I got mine at Harbor Freight. And if you're working with dies or paper clips or pins or anything, it's really nice because you drop them in here and they're not going to get lost. They're not going to go away. But sometimes I use them just to put papers in and whatnot too, just to keep them from getting lost until I get them in little envelopes. And then I can use them again. I have another idea for a card where I was going to do these with some of these stamps inside them and then cut out different circles out of designer series paper. But these turned out to be too small. The sun wouldn't really fit in there. I hear you, Louie, and I know it's you. Louie's scratching at the door. He had dinner. They've been eating so well, and they were giving my daughter such fits about eating that I feel really bad. Like, I don't know why they gave her such a hard time. Of course, they've only been, here back with me for 2 days, so maybe I should be quiet. Okay, so then this is going to go on the inside, and I will probably stamp and color another sun, or maybe a sun and a bumblebee. I do like bumblebees. I just try not to think about getting stung by bees, but I like bumblebees. They're pretty. And we are not supposed to be killing bees. Everybody knows that, right? Yellow jackets, wasps, that's different, but the pollinators, you can't kill those because then if no pollinating happens, we have no plants and no fruit and vegetables and all those things that need to be cross-pollinated. All right, so here are the 3 cards, and I love them all. I don't even know that I have a favorite. They're all just very happy, and that's what I like about them. They're happy. All right, so thank you so much for joining me tonight, and for those of you here, thank you for being here. For those of you here but not talking, I wish you would say something. Oh, now I have ducks in my pool. Just say hello or whatever. Oh, and my YouTube channel is just called 11 Lakes Stamper. on YouTube. I'm transferring the videos over. I have another YouTube channel that I may tell you about it someday, but it's mainly for my journaling. And I had about 500 subscribers when I sort of stopped paying attention to it. So I know that if I started posting journal videos again, I would get more subscribers. I would love to get up to, let's say, an initial goal of 500 subscribers, and then maybe I would have some type of a giveaway at 500 subscribers. So please subscribe. Give me the thumbs up on YouTube, and that means that you like the video, and make a comment of some kind. Keep it clean, but make a comment of some kind, because YouTube analytics really like that. All right, YouTube is very different from Facebook, and it's really important to get that interaction on YouTube. So I'll probably transfer this video over right away because it's just easier to get it done. And then tonight, while I'm eating dinner and watching TV, I'll transfer over some others. All right, hope you'll catch me on the replay if you weren't here, and have a great night and a great weekend coming up. Good night.